Hey everybody, it's Anakin with Down the Scope, episode 30 of the gaming podcast you can't miss. This is Anakin, your host this week, and my wonderful co-host, Viridia Guru, is here in the house. What is going on?
Not much, buddy. Just playing some Nier. Other than that, not much. I got a little secret project that I did today, made me sick, but I can't talk about it, unfortunately, or I would.
I can't wait to hear that.
But anyway, other than that, man, it's just we've been playing some games. Looking forward to all the games coming out. Luckily we got Dark Souls coming out in October, not in November. So I've got a month there, between the hecticness to get a hold of that and play that before Skyrim on the 11th. So anybody who's a huge Dark Souls fan, look forward to that. But other than that, I'm just peachy. How about yourself?
Well, same here. This last week I haven't really been able to do a whole lot. I've been saying that my channel is going to maintain some kind of consistency with content going up and so forth. And this is probably the longest. I guess it's been 4 or 5 days now since I posted something. But believe it or not, I'm working on kind of a neat video that's been taking me. It took me most of last weekend to film, and I ended up editing it over the last 2 days, and I have a final draft, but it's still not quite right. I've got some syncing issues I'm trying to work out. So, but look for that video on my channel, maybe even in the next day or so. And it's kind of neat. I mean, honestly, I'm making it out to be bigger than it is. To me, it's a huge deal because
it's awesome.
Yeah,
right.
It's been a huge project. But the thing is it still should be pretty fun. I'm pretty proud of it overall. I just got to.
What is it? What is it of? Can you tell? Like, give a little hint.
It's a whole new take on my Rock Band 3 videos that I did, and I know a lot of people are not big onto that, but this is a little different. This one's actually worth watching. Just because of what I've done differently. I've gone about it a whole different way, and I may not make any more like this because of how long it's taken me, but I learned a lot. I learned a lot about editing and compositing and doing some other stuff. So I'm pretty proud of the outcome, regardless of the receival, once people get to check it out. So anyway, it's something to look forward to, and that's what I've been working on.
I'll be looking forward to it.
But beyond that, I've been pretty heavy back into Modern Warfare 2, and I can't explain it. I don't understand why, but Modern Warfare 2 has really captured my attention again, and I've been having a blast with it. I'm kind of getting ready for Modern Warfare 3.
See, I'm the exact opposite, man. I'm playing Black Ops more than I ever have. For some reason, I don't know why, but I go back to Modern Warfare 2, and it's just like vets, galore, and it takes me so long to get back in the groove to rape again.
Right.
Pardon my expression, but it's so hard to get back into that mode of just ponage. Where as in Black Ops, a lot of people are still playing it. I'm good at it already, and I'm kicking butt. So when Modern Warfare 3 comes out, I'm definitely back on the train. But as a matter of fact, have you played Call of Duty 4 in a while?
Let me tell you, I went back to 4 probably a couple of months back, and I felt like 4 was just too old at this point. It looks too old. It's still a good game, there's no doubt. But between that and Modern Warfare 2 or even Black Ops, I would probably say at this point I'm not going to go back to 4 anytime.
Well, I don't mind the graphics or anything like that. I was talking about the hacks.
Oh, I experienced that when I went back too. And everybody complained about how hacked up Modern Warfare 2 was, but man, you go back to 4? Oh my God, it's bad.
Well, not only that, I mean, every time I go into the game, somebody's website in like these like fuchsia, purple, pink colors is flashing up all over the screen. I'm like, what the fuck is this?
I know, it's terrible.
I could not believe it. I was like, I couldn't even see what was going on just because these fuchsia websites keep popping up. I was so appalled. And then I finally get into a match, and there's some civil people in there talking, and they say, hey, thank you, thanks guys for playing an unhacked game with me for once, and for once it finally felt good to get in an unhacked lobby. So evidently the community that's still over there, they're having to deal with this, and it is so frustrating that these sons of guns are are having to freaking, I mean, they're ruining games like this just to promote sites, and I'm just like, just get the hell off the internet, man. It's just so bullcrap how they do that. It's like, well, I'm gonna do it. I'm just gonna promote my website on one of the most popular games ever made. It's like that's not what it's for. And I can't believe that Infinity Ward or whoever the heck is in charge of that game now hasn't come out and done something about that problem.
It's bizarre to me how developers really do just abandon games, and that's the perfect example. And of course, the biggest example of all time was Modern Warfare 2, because they abandoned it while it was at its peak. That's what really destroyed that game. I mean, that was a shame. But the good news for me, is that at least in free for all, which is of course my favorite game mode, my games in free for all, I get so many of my subscribers in there, and some of my friends, is that when you got an 8-player lobby and you've already got 3 or 4 people that in there, that leaves you with only 2 or 3 randoms to even come and go. So my experience with Modern Warfare 2 has been fantastic. I can't ask for a better experience because I'm playing lobbies where it's very limited. The odds of getting a single lame ass in there or whatever, is pretty rare. And even if we do get one, they get railroaded by me and all of my friends so quickly that they end up leaving because, they're just like, they just, we and let me tell you, everybody in my lobby, we don't do the whole argue game, we get out of that. We all mute them. And even if somebody comes in there and starts playing like a jackass, we mute them almost immediately, and then we don't really complain. And of course, even if we did, the guy can't hear us, so he just gets bored and he leaves. After usually one game, And a lot of these guys, that's what they come in there looking for. The ridiculous troll, effect. And if we all basically immediately mute the guy, he's just going to be bored to tears, so then they end up leaving. So
I would approach that differently.
Well, we've talked about that in the past, but
we have.
But it's for the most part though, I think it's been pretty good for us creating a good overall gaming experience in free for all in Modern Warfare 2. In fact, I would go as far as saying I don't experience any of the problems that people complain about. Even the odd quickscoper that jumps in, if they're a good quickscoper, I have no problem with it. So it's there's the tubers, and see, you can't win free for all with tubing. You just can't do it. So basically, what happens is you just get good players in there. And I think it makes for a good experience. So I've got no problems lately.
Yeah, I did some scrimming with Itar and Medina, and I'll tell you what, that was some fun stuff. It's made me really kind of want to look at getting into game battles and whatnot, just because I like this 2v2 search and destroy. Have you ever tried it?
No.
Dude, that's some fun stuff. I mean, it's literally two people, and I mean, it gets tense. You're like, all right, where the hell are they going to go? Where are they going to go? And then you got your buddy. In game, I don't guess you can actually root him on, but we were on Skype. So it was pretty funny because, we could hear them where they were like, oh, he's over there. It's like, all right, we'll run the other way then. And so that's some good stuff. If you haven't played, if you haven't done a scrim, then do it. But other than that, that's pretty much my Call of Duty. I'm looking forward to 3, but even more than that, I'm looking forward to.
Let's talk about that.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the brand new, trailer that almost made me throw up with excitement, and I know it did. Yes, you as well. And that was Battlefield, actually, it was Battlefield 3.
Yeah, everybody, especially people that listen to the podcast and everything, especially our hard scopers, these guys, everybody knows what's going on out there with Battlefield 3 and Modern Warfare 3. I mean, they're battling for your bucks here at the end of the year. Everybody's got their side. For the most part, I think everybody's kind of chosen which direction they're going to go in. But there's a few people still on the fence. And I put out a video not that long ago saying, hey, I'm getting both. I mean, there's no doubt. And I even got a little flack about that because people are like, I can't afford it, whatever, and I can only get one. Well, let me tell you right now, I would have put my money, if I could only get one, I would have put my money hands down on Modern Warfare 3, all the way up until this week. Mm-hmm. When that new trailer came out. Now we all saw the tank trailer a while back, and that's what I was getting at earlier. We all saw the tank trailer, and everybody was just, I mean, the internet exploded when that trailer went out. Of the single player tank scenario, and that was a great scenario. It was very cool, but it was still very single focused. It was just tanks. Of course I say just tanks. I mean, it looked awesome.
Yeah,
but
it was pretty awesome.
But the thing is, it was still very, very focused. And I was like, okay, this is cool, but show me some multiplayer. This is
show me the money.
That's right. I was waiting for this. Okay, because Battlefield 2 was one of my favorite games of all time for multiplayer. It was an absolute blast. I had a great time on the PC. I logged probably more hours than almost any game I think I may have ever played, believe it or not, until at that time, okay? Until this was prior to Modern Warfare 2 and all that. But the thing is I was still worried that they were going for that, kind of ground battle approach where, it's still a lot of infantry and only 2 or 3 vehicles, which is kind of the way Bad Company's been. Mm-hmm. And, but man, that new trailer this week, oh my God.
Yeah, it was definitely a mind-blowing experience. I wasn't prepared for it, is what it was. And you turn it on, jets.
I know.
I mean, cockpit era, the chatter. Yep. Oh my God, it was just absolutely phenomenal. And I'm like sitting here going, I'm wondering, is this too much? Are we prepared for this? That's my only fear, Anakin, is that these Modern Warfare players, they're going to get into this seat and it's going to overwhelm them, because what are they accustomed to? They're accustomed to picking up the same bleep damn game every single time a new one comes out and knowing how to play it and knowing this gun's a little bit, yeah, but I know how to shoot it, I know how to do blah, blah, blah. This is different. Yeah. This is not Modern Warfare. This is a brand new experience. Not only that, Anakin and I were talking about this earlier. Have you tried to fly a chopper in Battlefield 2?
It is insane. That was actually one of the best things ever. Let me tell you, everybody I knew when Battlefield 2 came out, everybody clamored to get into all the different vehicles. And then, you'd see these copters take off. I remember the launch day of Battlefield 2. You'd see these helicopters on the horizon. You wouldn't even be near them. You see these helicopters fly directly up in the air, and then you'd immediately see them crash. I mean, it was it was constant. It was hilarious.
I mean, it's not an easy task. It has a learning curve to it. You have to learn how to fly, and it's going to be the same way with a damn jet. You're not just going to get into a jet and start flying. Battlefield is very, very particular about the way their engines run, and this isn't going to be, press A button to go higher, press B button to go lower. No, it's going to be pretty complicated. And the thing is are you guys willing to learn? Rather, it's like a frustration. Dadgummit, there were so many times that people would get in. I would run. Finally, I got to the chopper, and they're just like, "Get out of the damn chopper! You don't know how to fly it." And sure enough, I didn't know how to fly it, and I just nosedived right into the B flag.
It was so fun. I mean, I would convince people, and I would convince myself that I knew what I was doing when I get into a chopper, and I'd load up with like 3 or 4 people right at the spawn, and sure enough, I'd take off, and I'm like, okay, I got this, and then we'd head over towards the enemy, and I'd be kind of flying, and they're like, okay, bank left, I'm going to fire the minigun, and I'm like, okay, I'm banking left, and they're like, you're banking too far left.
Yeah, they just boom. Yeah, I ended up just using it as a kamikaze device. I was like, if I can just get this thing pointed toward the B flag, and then my guys can come right in on the ass end, I'm good to go.
Man, do you know how many times I yelled parachute? I was like, hit G, hit G, hit G. Everybody would die, and I'd be floating in the air, and they're like, screw you, Anakin! I'm never getting your plane or your copter again.
You're a jerk, man. Yeah, I've jumped out of a few myself, like mid-air. I was just like, I'd rather die face first into the concrete than die by your dumbass flying into a tree.
Exactly. It was so fun. But yeah, I mean, this whole it is to me, it's almost unbelievable that the game looks that good in that trailer. That's actually what worries me, is that the hype for Battlefield 3 is so big at this point, especially after this recent trailer, that there's almost no way they can deliver the experience that it looks like they're trying to deliver, you know?
I know. And it's just one of those deals. It's not as user-friendly as Modern Warfare 2, but the thing is okay, so you look at Modern Warfare, okay? And you say, okay, it's easy to play, people can pick it up, it's fun, it's arcadey.
Right.
But then you got to ask yourself, do I want that feel that, it's going to take time to learn, but in the end, it's going to pay off. So look at it like this. It's like, yeah, you don't have to go to college as soon as you get out of high school. And this is coming from two people who haven't ever been to college, but, it's a good analogy anyway. But, it's like you can get out of school, you can slack off for a bit, and then you can get a job doing some menial work, maybe at a GameStop or something, and you're like, yeah, I get to screw around with games all day. Or you put a little bit more time and effort into your life, go to college, and then you're doing the job.
Make games.
Yeah, now you go and you do a job that's a little bit harder, but you make a lot of money.
Right.
And in the end, what's the payoff? I think the payoff, once you have a team of people, because you can't play this single player Battlefield. You have to have your team, and that's another thing,
Squads. It's all about the squads.
You have to have a squad. You have to have a group of guys that know what they're doing. That's a big killer sometimes for Battlefield. But luckily, Battlefield has such a big following anyway that they don't have to worry about it.
Right.
And hopefully these new graphics, these new techniques and stuff, I wish they would add a tutorial mode.
Yeah, they really need that. And they may do that. Who knows? They may have something like that.
But just some kind of a mode where somebody with the voice of the guy from Portal or something, hello, how are you today? I'm going to walk you through Portal, or I'm going to walk you through Battlefield 3. This is how you fire your gun. I mean, go literally from the basics, or the guy from Little Big Planet,
that guy's great.
That's pretty much what I meant. But walk you through some of the stuff and just get you kind of prepared for it and say, okay, I got it. Get you a group of 4 friends together, get a squad going. I mean, you can get a squad going on a team and not have to communicate with the whole team.
Right.
You can have one squad going and just say, okay, this is how it's going to go. That is, the beauty of it. So you really just got to look at what kind of gamer you are, what your feel is, and I do recommend trying both. However, I think that in the end, Battlefield is definitely going to take up way more of your time. It's going to, it's going to eat up a lot of stuff that you a lot of the time you'd be spending playing Modern Warfare 3. Modern Warfare 3 is going to be that pickup game that when you're done with the hard night of Modern Warfare is going to be the pickup game that after a hard night of teaming it up with your bud, you're like, all right, good night, guys. Then you put in Modern Warfare 3 to kind of cool down a bit. That's the way I see it.
Yeah, and I don't disagree at this point. I think that's probably going to be the approach. I think that Battlefield is going to be one of those games that you're going to go back to it and go back to it and go back to it. But yet, whenever your buddies aren't online, you're going to be like, well, shoot, nobody's online. I don't want to go with randoms for my team. Let me go over to Modern Warfare. Because you can just jump in and play. And I think it's going to be like that. But man, I'm telling you, this whole topic, by the way, brings up an interesting thing, because I did want to share this with everybody before we get into our main topic tonight. I wanted to talk a little bit about game design with Anakin. And,
yeah.
we've, I've actually talked about this before. I've mentioned this, a couple of ideas I've said about, kind of where first-person shooters need to evolve to. And, Modern Warfare 3, we've talked about this, and we already know that, even the guys at Activision and Infinity Ward have already said that it's going to be, Modern Warfare, the first one, 4, Call of Duty 4, it's just going to be that with, kind of some tweaking, I really think that's about where we're at with it. But, here's the thing. I mean, and that's still going to fly. A lot of people are going to be happy about that and everything. But, honestly, I do think that we need to see the Call of Duty franchise evolve a little bit. And I had some ideas that is not, it's, a lot of people, when they have ideas to say, here's what I want to see from the next Call of Duty game, or here's what I want to see from the next Battlefield game, or the next Skyrim, or the next whatever. There's always these exceptionally lofty ideas. But I try to keep anything that I've got going, I try to keep these things relatively grounded, that are possible. And yet, they wouldn't alienate current players, and at the same time, it wouldn't be so hard to implement that, the developer wouldn't be able to do it either. So here's my idea for Call of Duty, and we talked about this, and this is how you could take the existing model, and we all know how Call of Duty works, okay? You get in, you build a class, and you build a class with, weapons, equipment, and perks. And that's really it. That's the formula. And this has been the formula since Call of Duty 4, okay? This is, we're on this will be the fifth. Is it the fifth iteration? Yeah, this Modern Warfare 3 will be the fifth iteration of that formula. You got Call of Duty 4, you got World at War, then you got Modern Warfare 2, you've got Black Ops, and now this one, Modern Warfare 3, and it's all the same approach, and all it is a little tweaking and balancing. That's all it's been for 5 straight games now. And I'm speaking out of turn, of course. This is all assuming Modern Warfare 3 doesn't bring anything amazing to the table, which I'm pretty darn sure they're not going to be doing that at this point. But here's the deal. Follow me along here, if you will. Instead of, and let me tell you, hang on, but before I even get started on that, if you've played any BattleTech or MechWarrior, you're going to love where I'm going with this, okay?
Which I haven't. So.
All right, so here's the deal. And as I explain this, I'll tell you the similarities between the old style. And this is actually tabletop gaming, even, the old style. We're talking like, back where you actually set your little miniatures and stuff on the table. I played all the way back to that. But here's the deal. Instead of, perks and guns and equipment and all that other stuff, instead of choosing categories like primary weapon, secondary weapon, and all that, you don't have any of that. Here's what you start off with. You have a character, and you are just a uniformed, soldier. That's it. Just a standard uniform, okay?
Right.
And you have a weight limit. That's it, okay? You have a weight limit. And everybody's the same. Everybody has the same weight capacity.
Like SOCOM.
Well, now this is somewhat like SOCOM, okay? But, this is actually even more, to me, more like MechWarrior or BattleTech, where here's your character. You can carry up to 50 pounds, let's say, all right?
Mm-hmm.
Every single gun, and I don't mean like every assault rifle weighs 10 pounds, I'm saying every single gun, it has a unique weight. And every single piece of equipment has a unique weight. And every, even armor, whether you wear a helmet or not is optional. Whether you wear Kevlar or not is optional. And you don't have to have a primary and a secondary and grenades and armor and everything. You don't have to have any of that. If you wanna spawn on the battlefield and you want to just spawn in a uniform and with a single pistol, you have the option. But now you basically now have a marathon, lightweight, being able to hurdle things, run as fast as you can. Maybe you can jump further distances, all because you're extremely light. You're not carrying anything. At that point, you're an informal scout class. You know,
Right.
but you don't ever classify it. You don't say, okay, well, I'm going to play a scout and I'm going to play a heavy and I'm going to play a medium class or what. You don't do any of that. You just say, here's the deal. You can carry up to 50 pounds. Any combination that you want to carry. If you want to carry nothing but grenades, you can do so. But each grenade weighs a certain amount. And your character could just have this huge, belt clip of nothing but grenades, double crossed across your chest or something, But the deal is the number of options, just make it unlimited, to where you can have a claymore guy. You could just spawn and just have nothing but claymores all over you.
That's what I was about to say. I would have just infinite claymores. I would just run around all day just planting claymores everywhere.
Well, exactly. And the thing is then, you could actually go as far as having a guy in a bomb, like, one of the bomb, the bomb disposal suits. You couldn't carry any weapons, but you could just walk around and basically melee people. But you would end up you would basically be in a bulletproof suit that only explosions could get through it, and even then it would take multiple explosions to finally break through the suit.
So a juggernaut. Yeah, you'd be a juggernaut at that point.
Exactly. Yeah. So the thing is now this sounds a little bit far-fetched, but really it's not that far-fetched based on their formula. You just give everything a weight class, and you still obviously have range and your bullet damage and all these various things. You still have all the same attributes, but now instead of just saying, okay, here's your primary gun, here's a secondary gun, here's a equipment, here's 3 perks, or whatever. Forget all that. Your movement is based on how much you carry, and that's the bottom line. And at that point, you could do. Just imagine the kinds of gameplay styles that people would come up with. You could do literally just crazy stuff. If somebody, you could build a team where you've got like 2 guys that are ultra fast, that are like sharpshooters, where they're just nothing but like carrying like a machine pistol or something. No armor, no helmet, no nothing. Obviously one bullet's going to take them down most likely, but now they're running out there and they're just hauling at, maybe you don't even have a pistol, maybe it's just a knife. But then you've got 2 other guys that are like medium classes. They're armored up a little bit, they've got an assault rifle, they carry only extra ammo, no grenades, no nothing.
Right.
Then you've got, like you said, the Juggernaut class. You've got a guy that maybe he's carrying nothing but claymores, and then the other guy, and he's got nothing but armor and claymores, and the other guy is nothing but a bomb disposal suit, and a knife or something, and that's it, and that's, could you imagine the absolute insanity that would go on inside a game like Modern Warfare at that point?
That would be pretty cool. The thing about it is, I think that these games would go. I think they wouldn't mind going that complex. However, the chance for, look at how, compared to your idea and Modern Warfare 2 as it is now, look at how much of a difference, how much of a grander scope you're looking at. And even with Modern Warfare 2's limited ability, these guys out there will find a way to abuse the crap out of it.
That's true. And I have no doubt that with my method, you'd have all kinds of things that would be abused. There's no doubt.
Yeah, it'd be like a whole team is like team deathmatch, and then all of a sudden a wall of tomahawks. Game over.
Exactly.
And then they would be like respec. Boom, we got our tomahawks back. Throwing their tomahawks. It's just that. With complexity comes that issue.
Right. Right.
And I think.
Well, it's all balancing. There's no doubt it's balancing issues. So
the thing is that idea, I like it a lot, because I like you said, I could see a lot of awesome combos coming from that. However, I don't think they would put that effort into it.
Right.
And I think they would just half-ass most of it, to tell you the truth. And it's a shame that they don't do something like that. I mean, damn, we maybe we should do it someday.
Well, and honestly, something like this could easily be done in a PC mod for existing Modern Warfare. You just add a mod where everything has a weight class, and that's it. You take away the standard interface, and you could probably do it in a current game right now. You could probably grab almost any first-person shooter and apply something very, very similar, to where you just outfit based on a certain weight limit. And then, that's the way BattleTech and MechWare have always worked. You have a base, tonnage level for the actual chassis for the actual BattleTech mech. But then, depending on, you can only go up a certain weight class for the size nuclear reactor engine that you have, the power supply you have. So you say, okay, well, this mech can only go 30 tons. All right, but I've got 20 tons of just mech. Now I've got other 10 more tons. So, you would have lasers, and then you'd have heat sinks because you can't fire that much. And then if you do projectile weapons, you got to account for ammo. Ammo takes up a certain amount of tonnage, and then that was the really cool thing about creating your mech in BattleTech. Mm-hmm. And I kind of miss those days because we haven't had a really good BattleTech game in a while. So it got me thinking about taking that same formula and just putting it into more of a modern platform.
Modern platform. Yeah, no shit. I agree. I think that's an awesome idea, and I would like to see that happen. And that along with your NPC, your non-player characters in the background being, targets. God, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, see, even then, the NPCs would somewhat help balance things, because if you died, like if everybody spawned and everybody had nothing but grenades and you just threw grenades across the map, you couldn't do the whole just grenade spamming, because if you died when you killed an NPC character that went running by screaming right in front of you as you threw a grenade, then you would be it'd be almost like hardcore at that point. It'd be almost like a hardcore version of Modern Warfare,
where you get negative points,
right? Yeah. So at some point, you would just have to be reserved with everything you're doing, and you'd have to make every shot count, and you'd have to throw grenades properly or whatever. That way, more balance would come to the game, and that's why I think NPCs are sorely needed. You could have all these games, especially Modern Warfare and everything, where you're fighting in the middle of a crowded, bomb-riddled, village. These places are always desolate. Nobody's there. It's like, oh, come on. You're telling me that, two groups of soldiers are walking into the village, from each end, and the place is deserted. Come on, it's like give me somebody in the village, Exactly. So I just think that would be a blast. Give me animals even,
Yeah, they did that. They did the in the favela mission in the single player of Modern Warfare 2. That's a perfect idea. There's actually civilians running around.
Exactly.
And you can't kill them. And it's like, they're like, ghosts don't kill the civilians or whatever, whoever you're playing as at that point. And that's a perfect idea. I mean, that's exactly what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. Yeah, I'm excited that I would love to see that happen. Game developers,
get on it.
Do it now.
Indeed. Well, anyway, that was. I just want to share that because we had talked about it. Me and some friends of mine at lunch. I've mentioned before. At work, when I go to work, we always go to lunch and talk about video games, movies, music, whatever the hottest topic is, and that came up, and I'm always. I'm always the idea guy. I'm sitting there always saying, what if they did this? So I had to share that with everybody here at the cast.
Yeah, exactly. No, we're glad to hear it. Before we get into our main topic, though, we have some congratulations in order.
We do indeed. We do. In fact, one of our own members of Control Shock has been picked up by basically the biggest gaming group on YouTube, Machinima Respawn. Congratulations to Rad Austin 27, one of our original podcast members. He's been accepted as a Machinima Respawn director.
Congratulations, buddy. Yeah, we'd like to, it's awesome to see that he finally has got out there with his zombie stuff. He hit 10,000 subscribers.
Yep.
which is a milestone. He finally showed his cute little face on the internet, and now he's moving on to machinima. So finally, he's moving up like we all intend to do. So thank you very much for all the help you've given me in the past. You introduced me to DC Copas, by the way. He's the guy who created my background. And been helping him out with some of the advertising issues and stuff he's had. So, again, buddy, congratulations and good luck with that. Hope that goes as well as you planned it to go.
Yeah, congrats, Reed. That's huge, man. I mean, I think that's what we're all aspiring for in some form or another. I mean, that's huge. So it's just amazing stuff, and he deserves it. Absolutely deserves the credit. So.
Sure does. Let's hope that the zombie thing keeps on going and fueling him, and not only that. Let's hope that you guys who are his subscribers watch more than just his zombie stuff. I really do stress that. He has good commentary even when it comes to something that isn't zombie related. So
yeah, exactly.
Not only that, I'm really hoping Reed picks up the new survival thing, whatever it's called in the Modern Warfare. I hope he picks that up as a kind of a zombie replacement when zombies, for Black Ops become obsolete. Because I mean that game, Black Ops is going to be one of those games that it's just like, oh wow, Modern Warfare 3 is out. Now we go back to Modern Warfare 2. Nobody goes back to World of War.
Exactly. And, and I swear Black Ops is going to be the same way. People are just going to abandon it as soon as the new stuff comes out.
Yeah, so I hope that the survival mode thing kicks in just as much as zombies. And the only way that can happen is if there's some sort of a story tied in. Because, honestly, the only reason that this zombie thing is caught on so big and is so popular with Reed and his channel is because there is a story to go with it. It's hidden.
Absolutely.
And it's not because zombies is, it's like, oh, I got to get to round whatever, blah, blah, blah. It's because they're trying to figure more and more out, and these guys keep hiding it further and further down in there. So that's the big thing about zombies. So hopefully there's some kind of a story or something to survival so that he can continue with that. If not, he'll still make it. I have no doubts about that.
Yeah,
everything will be fine for him. But anyway, on to our main topic. Anakin brought this to my attention earlier this week. Sent me an article from CNN, and what was it about?
This is what's crazy. It was about, it was just an interesting little blurb. It says why most people don't finish video games. And I read CNN and Fox News and Google News and some of these other, news sites. I like to be up on current events, and I just read what's going on in the world. And, this just popped up. It was on the main page of CNN. And it was like, why most people don't finish video games. I was like, what? What are they talking about that on CNN for? This is like an article that should be on Kotaku or IGN or Joystick or something. So I read the article, and I'm like, my God, this is like a great article.
Yeah.
So I had to send it out to you and a couple of friends of mine, and I was just like, man, this is good stuff. And really, I agreed with almost everything this guy had to say. In fact, I really did agree with everything this guy had to say. The article is written by an individual named Blake Snow, and apparently he's a freelance consultant, and this article got picked up by CNN, and it was a great article, and I felt like the article was worthy of an entire podcast episode because it's a very, very good discussion on why do people not finish video games, and there's a number of reasons. And this guy actually mentions quite a good number of facts in here that were actually big eye-openers even for me, as long as his stuff is fairly factual here, and it does seem to be. He pretty much lists a lot of sources that he got the information from. So let's talk about it a little bit. Now, this is a good one for you and me, Veridia, because you are much more of a completionist than I am. I mean, you pretty much get a game, and you always talk about, oh, it's like, hey, I beat that game that came out yesterday, and I'm like, what? Me, I'm always like 3 or 4 weeks behind. That's even the ones that I get to finish. I have a backlog of games that are just unbelievable that I've never finished.
Yeah, see, and the article was interesting. However, for me, I was like kind of the oddball for the article's demographic because I am not that way. I even finish the games I don't like.
Like I said, a completionist.
Yeah, so for me to throw a game down is hard. Even when it's a stinker, I don't feel that I can truly say this game was horrible if I didn't beat it. And I know I've done it on the cast a few times, like with Duke Nukem and stuff like that.
Right.
But this is because I can look at it from a distance and tell you, it's not worth my $60. Now, when it drops down to $9.99 in the bargain bin, then we'll give it a show and we'll give it a try, and then I'll be able to confirm it. But I've been doing this for a while, and I can tell you, I know what I'm talking about.
Right.
So basically, the article talks about people who don't finish their games, and I was intrigued by this because I do know people who don't do it. As a matter of fact, a lot of my friends don't do it. My age, they'll be all into, hey, did you get the new, whatever game? And I'll be like, yeah, I did. Did you beat it? Did you see the ending? No, I haven't seen it. All right, well, I won't spoil it for you. And then, a month later, dude, did you beat it? No. Can I spoil it for you now? No, dude, I'm gonna beat it. A week later, they still haven't even got past the part they're at, and so yeah, it was pretty interesting. And it talks. So what does it talk about? It talks about the first of all, the age of the gamer.
That's right. And, this was one that was a huge eye-opener. And as many of my followers and the podcast followers, from all the places that I'm known, obviously I'm much older than the general YouTube gaming director. I'm 37. And what was very interesting in this article is they talked about how the reason that people don't finish games is because of age, and really indirectly because of the responsibility based on your age. Here's the crazy part. What he wrote here, and I'm gonna cite this directly. He says at the beginning of the 21st century. Now, what he means here is this is basically around the year 2000 or so. The average gamer age was mid to late 20s, basically pushing 30. We're talking 27 to 29 was the average age of a gamer at that point. They weren't playing as often as they did in their adolescence, but in between entry-level jobs, earnest slacking, and higher education, there was still ample time to play a game. And what he's saying is that basically everybody was still kind of like finding their path in life, finding their way.
Right.
They're gaining responsibilities. Their time is becoming less and less, but they still have plenty of time to focus on games. But here's where things changed. It says, fast forward to today. The average gamer, now listen to this carefully. Remember my age. I just stated it. The average gamer today, according to this article, is 37. That is according to the Entertainment Software Association. The ESA says that the average gamer age is 37. Now, before you roll your eyes and go, come on, that's nonsense. Here's the deal. Who knows how they're actually, defining gamer? Remember, we've all argued about, how gaming is, what is a gamer? You got hardcore gamers, you got casual gamers. I don't know if they're throwing out Zynga games on Facebook in this definition. Who knows? But this guy seems to really be talking to more of a hardcore gaming crowd. Even though it's just a plain old CNN article, he still sounds like he's one of us, if you get my drift. He doesn't sound like he's just some reporter talking about,
why the hell would he have written it anyway, right?
Well, exactly. The thing is, this guy really sounds like he gets it. So when I see that he says here, according to the Entertainment Software Association, the average age is 37, I think he truly is referring to the Xbox, PS3, and PC gaming crowd. I really don't think that it's taking into account, Facebook games and PopCap and other stuff out there. And it says here, this is another interesting thing, the average age of the most frequent game buyer is 41. 41. Now, again, he somewhat goes into the article a little bit further, and he says that this isn't necessarily meaning they're buying it for themselves.
To play it, yeah.
But, that's still interesting that, now, and some of you guys that work at GameStop, or maybe in the tech department at Walmart, or maybe you work at Best Buy, think about this. Think about the people coming in to buy games. obviously you think immediately, you think of the hardcore guys that come in there and go, whoa, okay, launch day, here's my game, I'm coming in to get it. But then all the rest of the week, on Saturday afternoons, who are you dealing with? You're dealing with 30 to 40-year-old people coming in and buying games either for themselves, apparently, or, maybe for their kids or whatever.
That's pretty funny. That's pretty funny because, as a matter of fact, I was just in a game store today, and a detective came in, and he was questioning, the lady, evidently there had been a robbery, and there was the girl behind the counter had seen the guy who did it. Well, it had been months ago, and so he was like, all right, well, look at this lineup. He throws out some pictures of these guys, faces, and he's like, all right, so tell me if you recognize them, blah, blah, blah. Going into really big detail, the lady's like, it's been a while, I can't remember. He's like, all right, very professional. And then he goes, all right. He starts to walk out the door. He's like, oh, wait a minute. Hey, can I get that PS2 right there? He bought a whole PS2 bundle.
What?
Had a game, PS2, everything. This goes along the lines of what the guy's talking about. He didn't buy that for himself. He was like, oh yeah, I was going to go back. As a detective, he knew the night before that he was going to go back in there, and question this girl. So he was like, while I'm in there, I'm just assuming, by the way, but I'm going to buy my son a PS2. So he buys it, and that's where that demographic comes from. So I completely believe that.
Yeah, I just thought it was really neat, because the article goes on to talk about, and he's got various things that we're gonna go over here. He's got various reasonings, and then Viridian and I will probably talk about our own reasonings as well, kind of adding to this. But basically, this first section is all about the age of gamers and the big reason on why people in their 30s, especially if this is true here about the average age being 37, the reason that somebody like me, I can't finish a game that takes 20, 30, 40 hours, I get in probably no more, I'm guessing, I bet you I get in lucky 10 to 12 hours a week of gaming. And and this is even fairly new. I used to be able to let me tell you, there was no problem at plenty of times in my life, even up until probably a year ago. I could spend 30 hours a week, maybe 40, playing a game. And that's right. Having a full-time job during the day and even another, side job in the evening and a wife and a house and all the other responsibilities that come from that. But, kids really do pretty much change things pretty dramatically. But, so yeah, okay, so let's think about that. On a good week, I'm thinking 10 to 12 hours, That means if I spent every moment being basically antisocial, I might be able to, in 2 weeks' time, I might be able to beat the standard sandbox-style single-player game.
Yeah.
And, that's 2 weeks of me not doing any multiplayer anything. And that's really what drives me, though. I'm more into the multiplayer. As much as I enjoy a good single-player game, like this last week, I probably played, 8 hours worth of Modern Warfare.
Right.
And I have a great time doing it. But then, okay, how do you split up when you only have, 8 to 10 hours a week, maybe 10 to 12 on a good week? How do you split up that time to go play a single player? Do you go and play 3 or 4 hours of a single player and go, wow, that's awesome? And then you want to go do the Twitch factor where you want to get into, Modern Warfare and shoot up people for a little bit. And then, a week goes by, your weekend comes and goes. Now you're back in the next week and you're like, man, I want to go back to that. I want to go back to that Mass Effect game I was playing. I need to go load that. And then you think, oh God, but it's going to be like, I'll never finish this game. So that's the thing is, I can completely relate to that first reasoning on why people don't finish games, especially due to age.
Yeah, and with these 30-hour games, people talk about gaming, is just, I don't know, it's like, it's not just something you just do in your spare time, like Peggle or something. Some of these games, you do invest your time. Most of these games you're investing.
Right.
It's not just a hobby,
you're hoping for a payoff.
Right, you're getting a payoff, you're getting an enjoyment, just as if you were to go and you're excited to go see a movie.
Exactly.
They just happen to take time and effort to put into it, and that is a bigger payoff than just going to see a damn movie because you're paying off, or you're the one that's earning it. So, to come into gaming, brand new and say, okay, well, I got an extra 30 minutes to an hour here. Okay, well, then you are a Peggle person, you know?
Right.
You're not a gamer that would enjoy, you don't even really probably need an Xbox or PS3.
Right.
You're going to have to be a gamer, you have to have, a couple hours to invest, at least a day, to sit down and really enjoy these games, because I want you to think about this. The game that you're playing, Mass Effect, if you were to put that down for 1 week and come back, would you not feel like you should probably start it over?
Exactly. And let me tell you, I mentioned this, I think it was either last week or the week before in our podcast. The thing is this is the fourth time that I am trying to get through this game because of the time invested, and every time I get into the game, I'm like, okay, this is good, and then something happens, I get a little bored with the game or whatever, and I get that itchy trigger finger wanting to go play Modern Warfare or whatever the flavor of the week is for first-person shooters, and I'll go play that. And then a week will go by, and I'll go, man, I need to go back to Mass Effect. Another week will go by just because of life in general, something came up. And then another week goes by, and then I'm like, okay, if I load that game up right now, and I go back to it, I'm going to be like, now what in the world was I supposed to be doing? With Fist? Who is this Fist guy again? I need to go kill who?
Yeah,
and then I gotta, and then I got to load the damn game all over and start all over again. And this is literally why I have not been able to finish some of these big, epic, single player games like this, or Red Dead Redemption, Far Cry 2, Grand Theft Auto 4. I mean, pick the game. I've played them all. I love them all. And I just have not been able to finish them.
Yeah, it's like reading a book series, and you get in, you read the book series, and you get to the fourth book, and then by the time the fifth book comes out a year later, you're like, what the hell happened?
Exactly.
It's one of those things. It just, you got to be able to, some of these games like that, you've got to be able to just keep going with it, or else it's like starting all over again.
Exactly.
So I do agree that, for people don't complete these games, and I think that's that's one of the biggest reasons, is because they just, I don't remember what was happening, screw it. With a game like Mario, doesn't matter. You put that sucker in, you could have been at World 4, it's still the same thing.
Right.
You didn't miss anything out. I'll just replay it again later. But with a game like Nier, like I'm playing right now, and if I were to put that down for a couple weeks, I would not want to jump in and just start where I was at, because I would be like missing out on a lot of the story.
Right.
So
it's interesting too, because this leads us into another quote here from the article, because and this explains. Remember, these game developers and these game studios, they work from statistics and knowledge and information and research from consumers. So the thing is here is, he says, in other words, the longer the game, the higher probability a player will abandon it. Mm-hmm. And it says here, and by the way, I want to plug this cool site that Verdi and I both found from this article. Yeah. It says here, Red Dead Redemption takes upward of 30 hours to complete, and few players are willing to commit that much time. And he cites the 30 hours here. He cites a website that I highly, highly recommend. Verdi and I
highly recommend.
Yeah, we both just spent half an hour browsing the site and checking things and seeing how accurate they were. The site is called howlongtobeat.com. That's howlong, HOWLONGTOBEAT.com, howlongtobeat. And what this is it's a user-driven site where people go in and they put how long it took them to beat a specific game. And then what the site does is it takes the mean, the median, and the average, and it takes all of that stuff and then, shows you, based on all these different users who submit their times, it gives you an idea overall, how long it should take to beat a certain game. And then it even talks about whether you're a completionist, whether you complete just the single player basic story, or whether you want to do all the side missions or whatever. It's
speed runs.
Speed runs. Yeah, it's very informative. And I've actually always looked for a site like that, but I've never actually seen one.
Me too. I normally, if I see a review that doesn't tell me how long the game is, I'm pissed.
Me too.
I'm pissed off because I'm like, dude, that should be a basic thing. You should be telling me exactly how long it took you to beat the game. That's what I also look for that just to see if the reviewer is actually beating it himself.
Exactly.
But it's awesome to have that. It's good to know because it is pretty much roundabout. There's not very many times in a game where somebody's doing one thing longer than another person,
Right.
So it's awesome to have that. And I checked it. I checked it with Gears of War. I checked it with a few other games, Far Cry and all that. It's pretty damn accurate. It is pretty damn accurate. So I'm very excited about this website, and it is definitely it's bookmarked for me. Go there and check it out if you're about to buy a game or something like that. Final Fantasy 13 for the completionist was clocked at 147 hours. I was like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that would probably take me 3 years to beat.
Well, which I could believe because Final Fantasy 12 took me about that long. And I was like, that was back in the day when I had no responsibilities, I was just chilling out. I was like, all right, let's play some 12. And I have like 130 something hours clocked on it. So I can believe it, but I mean it is pretty darn close. So, guys, definitely check out that site. But anyway, back to the main topic.
Yeah, that was the main topic was okay, that was the first reasoning on what this guy gave for why people aren't finishing games, and I completely agree with that. I can relate to that, but the next reasoning is just as important, and I kind of complain about this sometimes. We all know that now, basically computer games, video games in general are the biggest money-making form of media. A couple of years ago when Modern Warfare 2 actually launched, Modern Warfare 2 at the time became the #1 biggest selling media title. Now, this is including Hollywood movies and everything. It made more money than Avatar did when Avatar came out at the theater. And, this is it's just hard to imagine, video games, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, were something that, supposedly little pimply-faced kids played in their basement when no one was looking. And now it's really the biggest industry that in the world for entertainment. So, having said that, and now, by the way, Black Ops holds that title. It actually beat Modern Warfare 2 for the.
Did it really?
Yeah, it actually sold more and made more money than any other media title ever. But here's the deal. Now that, having said that, his second reason here is a glut of games. And we all know what this means. We all have to sit through Imagine Horses, and 20 more like it just to get to one AAA title. Because there is, there's literally, if you go to like something like GameStop and you look at the list of all the games coming out in a week, it's hundreds of games a week. And obviously, when you start taking into account all the different platforms, you've got 3DS, you've got the regular DS, you've got PS3 and Xbox, and I even saw like this week, I think it was Joystick did an article or something about there's a new Dreamcast game coming out this week.
What?
Yes, there's a new Dreamcast game, and right now they're only going to sell it in Europe, but you can get it imported over to the US. And but yeah, I mean it's just bizarre. But obviously that's an oddball one here. But still, there's plenty of games. You got tons of PC games. Anyway, the bottom line is if you're a hardcore gamer and you like to play a lot of different games, there's literally hundreds to choose from a month. And at some point, how the heck do you say, okay, every game I buy, I'm gonna beat? Well, there's no way. There's no way.
No, it's hard, and that's where you gotta distance yourself. Are you a gamer, a hardcore gamer? What kind of gamer you are? You can't play them all at once. You can probably get to them eventually, but again, by that time, and this is a good reason to have a downtime, because unfortunately the gaming market, obviously they go straight for November.
Yep.
That's when the
holiday dollars.
The onslaught comes, but luckily you have the rest of the year really to kind of play catch up. and get past some of those games. And for a lot of people, this does work out, because you can pick the ones that you really want to play first, and then go back and play. Once the other ones once you get around to them, you're like, all right, here we go. They're already down to the $15 mark or so.
Exactly.
So for me, I do see his point. I definitely see it. But if I want to play a game bad enough, I end up finding a way.
Right, and I'm sure as heck not going to be waiting for Battlefield 3 to go on sale in 2012 in March or something. I mean, there's obviously certain AAA titles that warrant an immediate purchase as much as you can, financially. But there's obviously those kind of games, those huge games. These things are multi-million-dollar titles in production, and then even crazier, they're multi-million-dollar marketing budgets for those same games. But they, and it's a huge risk. They're hoping for the payoff. And sadly, a game like I was talking about last week. By the way, I fixed my Limbo problem. I did reinstall it from Steam, and now it works. Now I can, and I'm like, hooray, So I actually was able to go back to it, and I have gotten to the point of where I've probably got about 3 hours into it, and I think you said it was like 4 hours long. Something like that.
Yeah, you should have beat it by now.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm a sad ass. I jumped on the thing that said hotel, and I spun the little O around, and then I jumped on the L, and I made it past that.
It's taken you 3 hours to get there?
Well, remember, I played the game 4 times trying to get to the end, thinking
I'm not going to lie to you. I've made it there in 15 minutes.
Oh, my God. Sadness.
Yeah, I've beaten the whole game in an hour.
Wow.
So
well, remember the first couple of hours, by the way, honestly, I played all the way, got almost to that point, and then I tried, and then I left, and then I came back and had to play it all over again. So
well, yeah, not only that, it is tough to figure out some of those damn puzzles. Some of them are pretty hard to figure out. It's like, it's a trial and error game, so I get where you're going. I'm not busting your balls too hard.
Well, it is kind of sad that I haven't actually beaten it, but anyway, the deal is that a game like that, obviously the marketing budget, there's none. It was basically word of mouth on how that game got around, and obviously Minecraft was the same way. That's a perfect example of a game that just kind of shot up out of nowhere, and this is probably one of the most profitable games. I would guess that. Well, Angry Birds may be the most profitable game of all time, I bet. But Minecraft has got to be insanely profitable because he had almost no money for the marketing. The guy, this was word of mouth, and so that's the deal. Is that that's a breakout game in a glut of other games out there. And he was able to overcome, and get his name out there and get people interested. But it's a good game, it's a cool experience. But think about all these other games, especially Wii games, man. Those things are just, God, these are just bottom of the barrel garbage. But yet, people who are not in the know, mostly parents who, still don't put a whole lot of stock in video games that are buying their kids stuff, they go and buy these bargain bin clearance titles for the Wii. And of course, those are dollars that could be spent on a nice, good AAA title that they're just ignorant about. They just don't know about.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And then I see him do it all the time, and it's like, nope, don't do it. It's like, don't buy that game. As a matter of fact, this random dude came in. He was returning a Nintendo 64 game he had bought. I can't remember what it was. I think it was South Park. He traded it out for Jurassic Park for the SNES.
Oh, God. Oh, my God.
I was like, dude, no.
Wow.
He's just like looking at me like, what? I was just like, dude, that game is really bad, man. I just want to warn you. It's not a good one, but anyway.
That's unreal. Well, let me just cite another couple examples on this glut of games. This is very interesting too. Yeah. This guy goes and writes a little bit further here, and it says, who's he talking to? There's somebody named Fuller. I don't know who that is. Shoot, did I miss that?
Fuller?
Yeah. John Lee is a VP of marketing. Yeah. Anyway, I'm not sure who he's talking about here. he cites something here from the head of U.S. production at Konami, and a couple other people, but I'm not sure. I missed. Shoot, hang on. Gosh dang it! You know what?
While we're waiting, I'll sing you a song.
Sorry. Anyway, here's the deal, and he actually does not mention who this person is, but he says in the last 2 decades all right, now this is going back to around 1990 or so, the growth of video games has produced a huge influx of games. There are more players today, but there are also more games per player. And it says, since you can't spend as much time on each game, you're less likely to finish the one in front of you.
Right.
And so what he follows up with here is it says, not only did gamers have more time in the 8-bit and 16-bit days, but you also had fewer games to complete. And this makes perfect sense on why, especially people who are my age and even really your age, Verdi. I mean, you remember, SNES stuff and all that. I mean,
yeah, that's what I grew up on.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, the deal is back then, the reason we have such fond memories and we're so nostalgic for those old games is that our entire childhood was made up of like 20 games. It was like there was these 20 or 30 games that really made an impact. And we may have played 100, but there were like 20 or 30 really solid games that we probably played. I mean, that's why Final Fantasy VII, I think, made such a huge impact on people. And Metroid and a lot of these games stood out because they were great. And there was only 100 games a year maybe back then, compared to 100 games a week now. Who knows? Right. I mean, I don't know what the figures are, but the deal is that's why back in the old days it was such a huge deal, because everybody played the same games. You could go to anybody and say, "Hey, did you play Final Fantasy VII?" Everybody from that time period played Final Fantasy VII. But if you talk to somebody now and go, "Man, did you play Dead Space?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, no, I missed that one, man. I didn't get to play with that." And you're just like, "What?" And so it's just one of those things that like exactly like this guy says. There's too many games released, and even with the insane number of gamers out there today, there's still not enough. There's still not enough hours in a day for people to go and get to these games. And by the way, in this little section of the article, I want to throw out another website that I think is just the coolest thing. And for somebody like me, I really should sign up at this site. I haven't done so, but it's a very, very cool one. Let me read this quick blurb here for you. It says, the gaming platform has an impact on completion rates as well. Low caloric and hyper short web games are finished 85% of the time, according to backloggery.com, a website that helps players finish the games they already own before buying new ones. And of course it says, conversely, meatier games on PS3 are finished less often, according to Backloggery. So, obviously what we're talking about here, to put this in plain English, is, saying that anybody who's going to go play Bejeweled is going to go probably finish the game versus somebody who's going to go pick up Red Dead Redemption on PS3, and most of these same people are never going to get around to finishing that game. Right. So that's basically what they're saying. Is obviously the shorter the game, it's much more reasonable that people are going to finish it. So, and by the way, him stating here what I was already stating earlier, he says either way, this shifting demand is more than enough to sway developers in a different direction. For starters, they are creating less epic games, at least in terms of duration. Yeah. And so, the problem is that basically everybody who loves these insanely big sandbox games like Far Cry 2, Crysis, Red Dead Redemption, Grand Theft Auto, those games apparently are kind of going away because the publisher just feels like, well, what's the point of me giving 20 hours of gameplay, if 90% of people who are going to play this game only get 10 hours in? What's the point?
Well, yeah, what the hell do they care as long as somebody buys it?
Well, the problem is the production money that it takes to get to 20 hours worth of content. They can put out the same game with 6 hours of content for $60 as much as they could put out a 20-hour game.
Yeah, but see that would then again, you got gamers like myself who would just go ape shit.
I agree, and I mean that's a big problem right now. But the issue is hardcore gamers are looking for these epic, stories, these great experiences that last 20 hours. And yet the research is making us out to be the minority. I still love a great epic game, even though my time doesn't allow for that. But yet I'm kind of in that statistic that they're going by of like, well, hey, Anakin, we can give Anakin a 20-hour game. He'll never finish it, but we can give him a game like Dead Space that was basically 10 hours maybe, and he'll love it, and he'll rave about it, and he'll pay $60 for that just as much as he'll pay $60 for Red Dead Redemption. So, I mean, what's the, why bother?
You got a good point. I didn't even think about that.
So,
by the way, I just looked at Dragon Quest VIII. It's 73 hours just for the main story. Just story.
73 hours?
Just for the main story. Plus the rest is 100. Completionist 145. I was like, oh my God. I started playing this game, and I was playing it, and I was like, oh, this is an interesting little title, and I played about a couple hours of it, and I realized that I know I'm breaking away here for a minute, but they said that it's 30 hours into the game before you actually even leave the first continent. I was like, Jesus Christ.
Wow.
Now that's content.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous.
But anyway, well, so what was the last one?
Well, the last reasoning, and and again, this is a no-brainer here, but he's talking about multiplayer. Now, this is the issue. Everybody buys a game. Look at Modern Warfare, okay, or let's actually talk about Black Ops now. Do you know how many friends of mine own Black Ops, but have never loaded the single player?
Yep, I'm on the same boat.
There is tons of people I know. And, the thing is, I actually played the single player. I beat it. I had a great time in it. It's not an amazing single player or anything, but it's decent. It delivered. I was like, okay, I'm on board for this. It's fun.
Yeah.
But, there are still people out there right now that said they wished that they would have spent more time and more effort improving the multiplayer and literally ditched the single-player production money. Forget it. Don't even give me a single-player game, because just completely take all the money from the voice acting and the scripting and all the setup, get rid of all of that, and put more money in the, give me more guns, give me more perks, give me, a better network code, for crying out loud. Don't get me started on that.
Yeah.
But, give me all these other things that I want out of the game. And because really, just like this, it was like, I think 5 hours, maybe 6 hours for the single player. It doesn't take very much. And yet, I beat it in the first day, and then I've spent, countless hours, hundreds of hours on the multiplayer at this point since it's been out. And I mean, that's just ludicrous, but
it actually takes 6 hours and 30 minutes to beat Black Ops. Just want to let you know.
Thanks for that. but they again issue some statistics here in this article, and it says Call of Duty Black Ops, which I was just talking about. It says case in point. This is talking about the online multiplayer. Case in point, Call of Duty Black Ops has an average of 67 hours played, and right now it is the most played recent game by far, according to Raptor. And Raptor is an online service very similar to Xfire or some of these other ones that kind of keep track of your game times that you're playing. And of course, that's PC statistics there. It says Halo Reach is the second most played recent game of all time at 43 hours, and Bad Company 2 at 18. Now remember, these are averages. So and what he's saying here is he's saying that and this is actually Scott Steinberg, who is the head of video game consulting at TechSavvy. They say here the trend of low completion rates is equally driven by the growing importance of multiplayer. Companies are more aware than ever of where and how games are being consumed and what features players look for. And as a result, they're de-emphasizing single player, which seem to demand lower levels of player time, energy, and investment. So that's exactly what we were just saying. There's people that if you're going to go buy a Call of Duty game at this point, I would venture to say, I'm just making something up here, by the way, you ever hear that statement like, 95% of statistics are made up? Anyway, I always love that. But the deal is that, the thing is I would venture to say, just based on even my own personal experience, I would probably say 75% of the gamers I know personally. Now, I'm not saying my YouTube subscribers and stuff like that, but I would probably say 75% of the personal gamers that I know have never played the single player in a Call of Duty game, ever. So,
Right.
What does that tell you? I mean, at that point, they should just buck up and say, you know what? Forget it. Get rid of the budget. Dump the budget for the single player, or take that same money, put it back into multiplayer, and give everybody exactly what they want. So, and I agree. The multiplayer is taking away the single player aspect of a lot of these games. In fact, what did we talked about in one of our earliest podcasts? We were talking about splitting off zombies into its own game. Well, taking that same idea, how about just give me the ability to buy Call of Duty single player as a DLC? The whole single player campaign. If I want it, sell me the DLC for $20. But
Right.
give me the Call of Duty game, the multiplayer version, for $40.
Exactly.
Now, give me the $40. I will gladly hand you $40 for all the multiplayer I can eat. But you know what?
No.
But who cares? If I don't want the single player, let the community decide. If $20 per single player campaign is enough for them to warrant adding single player again in the next Call of Duty game, then so be it. But don't charge me for it if that's not what I want.
Yeah, no, but they're they'd lose money. Nobody would buy the single player.
They would, and that's what I'm saying is that would be the only way that we could prove the point to them that single player is, sadly, in a game like that, single player is kind of dead. So, basically call it what it is. It's an arena-style multiplayer game. And there's a time and place for everything. Dead Space, I don't want multiplayer in Dead Space. I want that immersive single-player, scripted, fantastic experience.
Right.
And give me that. I'll pay $60 for that. But for Call of Duty, who cares about the single player? I'm not in it for that.
Yeah, and there's some people that are. I mean, well, they're very rarely, but they get it. Like my little brother. He's not a huge gamer, so he put in the multiplayer. He's getting his butt kicked. He's like, I'll stick with the single player. So he played it a few times, but it's very rare. But some of these games, like Battlefield 3, is it even going to have a single player?
I think it's going to do something similar that, kind of like combat training. I think it's mostly, I think you mentioned tutorials earlier. I think it's going to be basically a training grounds. I think that's what they did with Battlefield 2, is that it was like a training thing where you got in and everything was AI, and you just played, in the same kind of style as a multiplayer. So I don't think there's actually a single player game,
Right.
There may be. No, you know what? Hang on. No, wait a minute. They showed us that single player campaign. Remember the earlier in this year, 12 minutes of footage. So yeah, they must be doing that. So there must be a big single player campaign. I actually
that'll be neat because they're good at doing single player. If you played Bad Company 1 and 2, those were great games. The single player was really fun and engaging. So it's going to be really neat to see these guys do something serious because although it was warfare, Bad Company really relied on a comic value, which was funny. It was really funny, but it relied on this comic storyline where these guys are joking around and whatnot, and then when the times got serious, they got serious, but then it went right back. So it's going to be neat to see an actual military story tied in.
Right.
But anyway, so did we have any mails this week?
We had a few. There was one that was directed at me specifically.
Yeah, about building a computer.
Yeah, that was kind of out there, that came in from his name on YouTube is Liberty City Survivor.
Right.
His name's Alex, and let me go over his mail here. He says, I'm a Scope fan. I find it very entertaining and funny. Good to see, or should I say hear, some quality broadcasting. And he says, I found you through Viridia's Infamous 2 Let's Play, and I follow your uploads now. So, hey, thanks for that, Alex. I appreciate it. And he says, you guys always encourage us to ask questions, so I decided to do so, and my question is for you directly. Alex is from the UK, and what he's asking for is advice on what he should get for all the different components for a new PC. He's got a budget of, he says, around £1,200, which is about $2,000 US. And he's got a list of parts here that equal about, looks like he's got £1,082 of equipment here. Let me read off. I actually have not been able to respond to him, but I'm going to do it right here on the air right now. Let's see what he's got here. He's got the NZXT Phantom Special Edition White with red stripe case. For the PSU, he's got a Corsair 500 watt. Right off the bat here, I'm just going to talk out loud. The 500 watt, depending on the rest of what he's going to list here, that may be a little small. I generally don't buy any power supplies anymore under 750 watts. Motherboard, an MSI, boo, P67 C45. Okay, it's not terrible. I'm not a fan of MSI motherboards. CPU is a Core i5 2500. It's okay. Corsair, the CPU cooler. He's got a Corsair H70. RAM, he's got Kingston HyperX 8 gig, DDR3 1600 megahertz. That's good. That's 2 4x. Okay. Video card, the Power Color. Boy, that's an oddball. It's an ATI chipset, HD 6950 with 2 gigs. That's a pretty good card. There's nothing wrong with that card. Hard drive, he's got a Western Digital 1 terabyte, SATA 3, 7200 RPM. That's good. That's a good one. He's got an SSD. Oh man, I don't think SSDs, by the way, price versus performance, SSDs are a waste of money. Okay? And yes, a bunch of people are going to come out of the woodwork right now and go, Anakin, you're an idiot. Listen, here's the deal, okay? If you're on a budget...
In case you don't know what SSD means, solid state drive is what that is.
Solid state drive, okay? Here's the deal. These are slowly becoming popular with, like, exceptionally hardcore PC enthusiasts, okay? And I mean, like... Let me tell you, I'm a PC enthusiast. I have a hardcore PC. I have a major gaming rig. I've been building gaming rigs forever. Let me tell you, SSDs right now still are overpriced for what you get. I will stand by that, and I will argue that point home till the end of time. I don't care who you are, okay? The price versus performance that you get back is just not worth it. So in this case, Alex, Liberty City Survivor here, I do not recommend it. Take that money, get rid of the SSD, put it back into your processor. Do not buy a Core i5 right now. Go ahead and spring for the i7 and get the latest architecture. Oh my God, I just was about to say it and it just left me. This is my Alzheimer's kicking in at 37. God dang it. What's the new, it starts with a, oh Jesus, I cannot
Don't
believe
ask me. I have no idea what the hell you've been saying for the past 15 minutes.
It's the new Core architecture. They talked about it. It's got a goofy name. It's like, I keep wanting to say Sugarland. Oh my God, it's
Sugarland. Huh?
Jesus, I can't.
Color World Rainbow Fluffkin. I just took a shot in the dark. Maybe I was right.
Oh my God, what is wrong with me? Sandy Bridge. Jesus, I can't.
Sandy Bridge?
Yes, I know. That's why I said it's a silly name. But Sandy Bridge is the new architecture. It's exceptionally cheap. Get a Core i7 Sandy Bridge. Get a board that allows you to overclock just a little bit. And here's the thing. I'm not a fan of overclocking, okay? I'm really not a fan of overclocking because I like stability in my systems. But here's the deal. You can get a Core i7 Sandy Bridge for exceptionally cheap money right now, especially when you take out something like an SSD drive. And you will be very happy at the performance of this machine, because here's the deal. Just because you got a fast SSD drive in there and then you got a Core i5 2500, this is, you're buying basically current gen. You're not buying next gen at that point. And anytime you buy a PC, especially if you're going to buy a gaming rig, you've got to buy as much next gen as you can. The other thing here he's got listed, his optical drive is pretty standard. It's just a SATA DVD burner. The deal is, I'm telling you, don't do the SSD, especially if you're on a budget. And for 1,200 pounds, especially $2,000, let me tell you, you could build a much better rig than this for $2,000. It's not terrible, okay, but as cases go, by the way, I always like the Antec 900. You know what? He never should have asked me this. I don't even know why I don't even know why I'm talking about all this now. But anyway, Alex, I'll tell you what. I'm going to write you an email. Nobody else wants to hear this either. God dang it. Viridia gave me this so subtle hint that I was so completely off topic from Down the Scope that we're going to move on.
Well, I think I'm sitting here drawing now, and when I start drawing,
that means I'm just I'm about to make you drool because at this point you're probably going to be just like laying there in your own pool of drool at your desk waiting for me to shut up.
A big pile of butter sitting right here, just like. Anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Let me see what else he wrote here. Hang on. He says, the reason I'm asking Anakin is that because he keeps flashing his superb setups. Hey, thanks for that. And he's quite good at it, so why not take advantage of his knowledge? Thank you for your time and help. Blah, blah, blah. Alex, I'll try to send you an email on this, and I'll respond to you with maybe a better setup for around that $2,000 mark. He says... By the way, he says, great job on your videos and good to see Viridia still posting despite his sleep deprivation.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, Alex, sorry to cut him off early, but you know how it goes. Anakin's a talker.
Indeed. I'm sorry. I will go on for hours to a wall. Anybody that will listen to me, I go out and talk to trees sometimes, and the tree actually dies right in front of me. It actually yells timber out loud and falls over in its own demise.
Damn you!
So anyway, what he actually gave us a little topic here, maybe even for next week. Who knows? Let me see what he wrote here. He says, by the way, in the next scope, why not discuss stupid people blame video games topic? And what does he? Oh, I know what he means by that. He's just talking about the media.
Others against gamers, yeah.
Yeah, and he says ignorant people blame crime on video games even though they never played any, and like a dumb grandmother who purchased her 12-year-old grandson Grand Theft Auto, and which was certified as 18, and then wanted to sue Rockstars for having pixel porn in it, hot coffee and all this. He goes on to talk about a little bit more. Thanks for the topic, Alex. We will keep that in mind. That may be one that is worthwhile for a future episode. We'll keep that in mind.
Yeah, we've talked a little bit about it before.
Yeah, a little bit.
Back, I believe it was in the episode where the law was passed in California.
That's right.
About the M-rated game. So if you haven't heard that one, go back and check that out. I believe it was 18.
Yeah, that was very
around
there. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, we talk about the parents and everything. I go on a pretty big rant about how stupid they are, so we're on the same page there.
Exactly.
We had another email talking about, says, what is your opinion on the title of hardcore gamer being morphed into something synonymous with really violent or often first-person shooter genre games? To add to that, Nintendo used to be the hardcore company. Now it is regarded as a kiddie casual label. Even with the past hardcore series, Mario, Zelda, etc., still going strong. What's your take on that? And this is from Fantendo Josh. I'm going to call you Josh. So it's from
actually,
Josh.
Look, his YouTube name is 123 Spore Fan.
Oh, Spore Fan. Okay, so we'll go with that. This is one of the topics in his email. It's not the only topic you brought up, but it's the only topic we got time for today. But I wanted to, because I agree on the fact that hardcore does not mean first-person shooter. As a matter of fact, if you're, and he goes on in his email to state that he's in high school, and in high school, you got to understand something, Josh, or Spore Fan. You're going to run into a few idiots here and there in high school. And these guys, they form their little ideas of what hardcore gaming is. Hardcore gaming is not just playing a first-person shooter and not even being good at it.
Yeah.
Hard gaming is your dedication, your passion, your time consumption. It comes down to a multitude of things. If you are so passionate about gaming that you will play anything, even if you don't play anything but Pokemon. I mean, look at there's a YouTuber named King Daddy D-Mac. All right, So, dude, he is a hardcore gamer. The only game he plays is Pokemon. He does it competitively. He's passionate about it. He does all of this passionately. That's hardcore.
Right.
I don't know, dude may never have played Call of Duty. Call of Duty does not make you a hardcore gamer.
Right.
You don't pick it up and start fragging and go, "Yep, I'm hardcore. Go to hell." No. If you a hardcore gamer is just classified as a passionate gamer. That's pretty much what hardcore means. Hardcore gamer, passionate gamer.
But that's the problem is, it's just the media has capitalized on this stupid hardcore, term, and it makes no sense these days. The media, for the most part, they jump on these terms like hardcore gamer, and because it sounds like some aggressive thing, that's why they associate it with people like, this guy in Norway that shot up all these people or whatever, because he said he practiced in Call of Duty or something, and so they said, oh, he was a hardcore Call of Duty gamer or whatever, and I'm like, really? It's just silly, and really it's the media that's ruined that title. And, Viridia is 100% right. I mean, obviously, hardcore is just really, what is your passion? How many hours do you spend? How many different genres of games do you play? How many, do you have multiple consoles? Do you have a long history of gaming? That's what being a hardcore gamer is, and instead of just casual gamer, and really even casual gaming is now kind of screwed up because the word casual gamer is now synonymous with like Zynga games and Angry Birds, when really you could still, I consider my father a casual gamer. He's 69 years old, and guess what he plays? He plays freaking Call of Duty. But I still consider him a casual gamer because he spends no more than probably, 5 or 6 hours a week playing. He enjoys it, but, he's not like up on the hardcore gaming news, and he's not, on top of, he doesn't even know. If I asked him right now, I'm like, hey, did you get that new DLC for Modern Warfare 2, or whatever, and he'd be like, what is DLC? That's the thing is, when you're a hardcore gamer, you know all the acronyms. You know who Bobby Kotick is. You know what developer wrote it, even though a publisher put it out. You know all this information about gaming. And casual gamers can still play all the same games that we play, but they don't follow the industry. And
right,
to
they don't have the passion.
Exactly. Because we want to know everything about the game. We watch every trailer that comes out. We watch, all the footage that's out there. We want to know release dates. We want to know how much, what's going to be in the collector's edition. We want to know all the stuff going on. But yet, a casual gamer can still go out and buy, Modern Warfare. They can still, I've met casual gamers, believe it or not. I know people who play World of Warcraft that I would still actually call a casual gamer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For sure.
So there's those terms have really been poorly defined and misconstrued in the media. Yeah. So anyway.
I believe that I believe that if you walk up to a person right now and say, "Are you passionate about gaming?" and they say yes, then that means they're hardcore.
Yeah, exactly. And if you throw out just a couple of things like hey, what do you think is the most played game in the world right now, or whatever, and they say whatever game it is they're playing, then well, wait a minute, that's probably not right. I mean, if you ask them, hey, did you get, do you know the DLC? Almost everybody knows, like, what, there's various things you can just throw out. If you ask them who Bobby Kotick is and they don't know, they probably, they're probably not really into gaming news. And, there's various things. If they only own one console, then, one console doesn't really mean they're going to be very hardcore either. Whatever. I mean, there's all kinds of ways to find it.
There's tons of ways to fill it out. There's always a way to figure out if there's a hardcore gamer or not. Call of Duty, first-person shooters, that doesn't make you hardcore.
Right, exactly.
So,
other than that,
anyway.
Did you want to go over any other mail? I think we got a ton over the last couple of weeks, but I think that's about all the time we've got for some of the mail. Unless you had another one you wanted to hit on.
Yeah, I think so, guys. If you have mail, always send it to podcastdownthescope@gmail.com, and we will address it on the air. Some of you guys send multiple topics in the emails, and we will get to those as time goes on. And that's pretty much it, I guess.
All right. Well, sounds good. Well, this has been another milestone for us here at Down the Scope. This has been episode 30 of Down the Scope, 30 straight weeks of your favorite podcast that you can't miss. So I guess that's it for us this week. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I agree. We will see you next week, and thank you so much for sticking with us for 30 episodes, and we'll hit you with some topics later on.
Yeah, we'll see you guys with episode 31. This has been Anakin and Viridia for Down the Scope, the gaming podcast you can't miss. Don't forget to email us at podcastdownthescope@gmail.com, and we will see you guys next week. Thanks for listening.
Later.